don't post it, you are eligible for recourse as well. So it's very important that you look up if your company followed the law on that. And if they didn't, then you may have certain recourse available to you. So those are companies that are based in New York and California as well. And so that covers a lot of tech companies. And in fact, that was one of the things that we saw potentially with Twitter, right? When Elon Musk said, oh, we're going to lay off all these people, we had to say, hey, was this posted? And if it wasn't, then you're in violation of labor law. And
put it towards somewhere and something good. You definitely have to. You definitely want to. You don't want to waste time on this because, let's get straight into news. Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer are refusing to negotiate with Kevin. That's Kevin McCarthy on raising the nation's debt ceiling. They don't want to raise anything, but the voices across the political spectrum argue that the president and precedent for such talks has been sent already. The former president negotiated with the House Republican majority in 2011 to extend the nation's borrowing authority. That's right, extend the nation's borrowing authority. Nobody knows what that even means. And Obama agreed to negotiate big spending cuts with Republicans, everybody, before the 2012 election because he knew he was ultimately responsible for the health of the economy. It would have taken a major hit if the Fed had defaulted on its debt obligations in 2011. Experts now say that Biden is now in a similar position as he readies his own re-election bid. He won't even be able to resist negotiations. The former Senate Budget Committee chairman has also told reporters failure to deal with his debt limit would be catastrophic to the economy, terrible to the economy, terrible to the world. Any serious person who has studied this knows that the economic consequences will be just disastrous. Conrad said he understands why Democrats refuse to negotiate with Republicans on raising debt limit during Obama's time, but he expects Joe Biden to do something and not act like Obama. So, here it is. Experts have said that Social Security and Medicare are headed for insolvency. And let's be honest, guys, it probably is. Social Security will probably end in a couple years because experts have said that both Social Security is headed for insolvency. So there is an opportunity to do something about this, though. There's an opportunity to fix the problems that everybody's being bothered about. Now, let's get into the most important news first. Biden so far is not negotiating any tremendous pressure from his party to either enter negotiations with the exception of Joe Manchin. Manchin, who is calling up for re-election, floated the idea of reconsidering reforms to prolong the solvency of federal programs like Medicare, Social Security, for Republicans to support and for raising debt ceiling. He stated he would put bipartisan bicameral committees together to look at each of one of the trusts and come up with solutions for how you fix it. Republican aides said refusing to negotiate with Republicans isn't something sustainable, isn't even something doable because if you don't negotiate with both parties, you're pretty much acting stupid. Now, a senior Republican aide said that doing this would be a problem. Joe Manchin and Democrats' December's employment and inflation numbers were pretty good, and while we look at the various metrics for the economy, it doesn't appear that we're headed towards a recession. Not yet, at least. One source of fear is that the Fed is playing a dangerous game of raising the rates to lower inflation. It runs the risk of a recession. However, the most recent numbers indicate that the Fed may be able to pull a soft landing. Soft, easy landing to fix the problems, that is. Unemployment numbers were already down during this time. December, they fell to an even lower number. In the economy as a whole, well, fell again. Hourly job wages growth in December fell from 5 to 4%, and it's not spectacular news for workers, but it's something better than nothing. It shows that at least Joe Biden is trying to do something for the people. Now, besides that, I also want to say that even though Jerome Powell has acknowledged that there is no evidence that wage growth caused or even boosted inflation, probably it did, even though they don't want to admit it. It's just the facts, folks. Now, I also want to say this, folks, that with decrease in wage growth, if it continues, it may encourage the Fed to slow their pace of rate hikes. When that happens, nasty stuff happens in Congress. It pretty much means that you ain't getting stimulus if Joe Biden doesn't stop this. He must stop the madness. He must increase more moves. He must increase more stimulus. He must do something quick before it's too late. We got a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, the Social Security benefits, SI, SSDI, and even Social Security Administration news. We got a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, fourth stimulus benefits that you probably should know, because if you don't know this, you're missing out on some important information.
David, great to see you.
Though it is not law yet, Connecticut is offering a one-time tax rebate worth of $250 per child, capped at $750 for 3 children. Families need to apply to receive it. And the size of the credit and eligibility requirements vary greatly by state. Vermont's $1,000 payment, for example, is reserved for children 5 and under and families earning $125,000 or less. In Massachusetts, existing tax deductions for dependents were converted into two refundable credits. These state tax credits are worth between $180 to $240 per child under 12 for up to 2 children in all families. In some states, the credit is non-refundable, which means it can reduce someone's tax liability as low as $0. Taxpayers must file a tax return to receive it. Others, including Vermont, have made it fully refundable, meaning that it can reduce a filer's tax liability below $0. Despite the plans, the bill is yet to be formally proposed and is being negotiated on across both sides of Congress. Folks, we have a ton of good news about the fourth stimulus check and Social Security benefits. Stay tuned because you definitely don't want to miss out on this. Social Security, everybody, provides monthly benefits to millions of retired seniors. Some of those seniors depend on the program for the bulk of their income, and that's proven to be a problematic thing this year in particular. Although Social Security recipients get a generous 5.9% raise going into 2022, at this point the rate of inflation is far outpacing that boost. That means seniors who live mostly on Social Security are losing buying power even at a time when they're sitting on a higher raise. But that's not the only issue with depending heavily on Social Security. In future, Social Security may have to cut benefits to the tune of 20% due to revenue shortfall. That could leave many seniors in the lurch. In the coming years, Social Security expects to owe more in benefits than it collects in revenue, due largely to an anticipated mass exodus of baby boomers from the workforce. The good news is that Social Security has trust funds it can tap to keep up with scheduled benefits. But once those trust funds run out of money, benefits will be cut back on the table. Meanwhile, the Social Security trustees recently released a 2022 report, and it projects that the program's trust funds will run out of money in 2034. From there, Social Security may have to slash benefits by 20% unless lawmakers come up with a solution to address the program's financial shortfall. But there are remaining lawmakers that are working on fixing Social Security. Democratic senators have teamed up to propose giving Social Security beneficiaries an extra $200 per month. The plan was put forward by Elizabeth Warren, Schumer, and Ron Wyden. The extra income would apply to all Social Security, veterans, and SSDI beneficiaries. Senator Warren has told CNBC News, increasing Social Security benefits is the quickest way to get money out the door during an economic crisis. However, senators have not confirmed how they would offset the cost of these increased benefits in their plan. Now, economists and lawmakers are concerned about another recession, as due to high inflation, rising the rates, and labor shortages. But what is certain is that with all these issues, American households are still struggling and need immediate assistance. According to a Newsweek poll, 63% of Americans want the Fed to issue new payments to fight inflation. And since last year, state governments have experienced historic surpluses due to inflationary costs and high spending. According to the Urban Institute, state government revenue adjusted for inflation rose 17% in the first quarter of 2022, compared to the same period in 2017. And senior research associates providing a direct assistance of direct payments is much more beneficial than enacting some income tax right now. Right now is an especially hard time for our seniors and retirees. Millions of older adults having trouble making ends meet. But according to CNN, many don't even realize help is available.